Hello and welcome to my 769. I started working on homework one, and then I realized a lot of you might not have ever used Google Colabs, and so I want to give you a real quick overview of it. So, in the past, Python is just a list of instructions. It's just a bunch of sentences in a text file that a compiler compiles and does things. The problem is when you have really long text files, it's hard to understand for non-computer people, me included. So, Jupyter Notebooks. Spell it wrong. There we go. So Jupyter Notebooks came out, I don't know, a while ago, and it basically allowed Python and other languages R to have a notebook-like structure, meaning we can have a block of code, we have some text, a block of code and text, and we can organize, and then we can do visualizations and line. When I do, just strings or lines of text for Python and I make a graph, it goes into another folder. I have to open it up. It's a pain. Notebook solves a lot of these problems. So Notebooks has allowed accessibility for Python and a lot of other things. Now, since it's open source, Databricks, very big company, has adopted it for their, clustering software. Snowflake, there's a Snowflake notebooks. Microsoft Azure, they use it. AWS and SageMaker, they use it. We're going to use it in Google Colab. So it's ubiquitous between all different kind of platforms with Python, and they have kind of their own version. Now, there are slight differences between them all. And but if you get the general gist of how to work a notebook, you should be able to translate from one to the other relatively easy. So Colab, okay, so oh, I don't know if I can type today. Colab research. There we go. So here's a notebook. I made it bigger because this is the second time I had to make the video because it was so small I couldn't even see it. So this is basic notebook interface. I don't know where the best place to start is. So this is a table of contents. And basically what that is for really big, really long notebooks. It kind of gives you a place where you can, like a table of contents, jump down to it and see what's going on. I don't think many things in this class are going to need table of contents, but it's there. I've worked on some notebooks that are 200 cells, and it's just a nightmare because when you're working with somebody else, you have to be like, hey, it's cell 15 or cell 18. And it's so table of contents helps with a lot. Find and replace, very useful. The code snippet. So if you write some really cool code or you have a code that you do something because you're an expert in that area, you do it again and again, you can save your code, put it in here. A data inspector and a data view. So if you have data, viewing data in notebooks was kind of hard. It's kind of difficult, and there never was a really nice, clean way to do that. So that's why that's why Google and Microsoft has their own product, and everyone has their own products. But they've made it so it's kind of like Excel to make it a little easier to see. So that's what those two are. Purposely skipping these two, but this basically hooks up to Google Drive. Since it's a Google product, it's natural that it hooks up to Google Drive. A Databricks product might hook up to data lakes. Snowflake hooks up to their own backend. So every kind of product hooks up to their environment. Now, keys. I just made this one for the last video. Okay, so API keys are like passwords. They're basically unique to you, and you need to keep them secret. What they are, they'll allow you to access something under your credentials, under your password. So it's like password management. So this is like RoboPass or like some type of password management. So later on this semester, we're going to be using OpenRouter to interrogate and to use LLMs. So let's create a key. Here's OpenRouter. This is the one I literally just made. Create a new API. So MIS 769 test. credit limit $1, and we'll set the expiration for 1 hour. Okay, so here is basically like a password. So what can I do with this? Well, I can copy it, but I can access their services. And since my credit card is attached to Open Router, if somebody had the full key, they could run millions of queries and charge my credit card. Now, with API keys, there's API keys for Reddit. So if somebody go online and posts you, there's API keys for email. Somebody go through and read your email. The API keys are very common through many different applications, and they should be treated as a password, if not stronger than a password. So you have this key, but you don't want to send me this key, and you don't want to share it. So what do? I know. I have an idea. We go over here and we make a new secret. Open MIS. We paste that in there. Oh, I didn't copy it. Copy, copy, copy. And then paste. And I can decide if I want this notebook to have it or not. And then when I share it or when I use this, I can just, basically call, not how you do it, but call OpenMIS. And what happened now is that it will look for this variable and place this string in it. So now if I download this, if I share it, if I do anything, all you see is OpenMIS. You don't see the actual API key. You don't see my variable. You don't see my private information. So this secret is very, very, very nice. And other systems aren't quite as nice. Databricks is not quite, they scope their secret. This is a really easy to understand, really. Here's actually how you do it. So it would be open MIS. So now when I run that, it will get this key. So now I know that I can use this when I call the LLM. Super nice. And other systems have things like this, but they're not all quite as easy as this. So let me grab the homework book and we'll go over these file menus here. So let's go upload notebook. And this homework's still not done. I got to work on it. So again, the little table of contents, which I'm going to hide. So with notebooks, we can just hit run, it runs the code. But before we do that, we need to check the type of computer we're running. So right now we're just using a regular GPU on Google's cloud somewhere. This computer could be in California, it could be in Virginia. I have no idea, and I don't care. As long as my code runs, I don't care where the computer is. Okay, so as long as it's in America, and like I said, for regulatory reasons, hey, there's CPU. Now there's GPUs here. You can see the different GPUs. Oh, 5 round, I don't need it. Different GPUs are used to do fine tuning, to do training, to do machine learning. Now, with these GPUs, an H100 is a very expensive video card. I don't know, maybe $80,000, $100,000. I don't know what an H1 costs right now. And A100 right now, I think it's about 30 grand. An L4 is maybe 8 or 9,000. So, and then you see a T4, probably cheaper than that, maybe a couple of 2,000. And these are Google's custom TPUs. If I did machine learning, I would maybe dev out on one of these L4s or T4s, make sure it works. And then when I went to actually produce, or when I went to actually do the real training, I would do maybe on the H100, A100. Now, the more of this I use, the less compute time I have. Google gives you a certain credit, and this eats up your credits faster. This eats up your credits, well, not quite as fast as the H100, but still fast. So what you want to try to do is use as minimal amount of computer resources as you can. So just keep that in mind. And that was if you go under runtime and change runtime. Okay, so upload notebook. You can download it. You can also share it. And since we're part of UNLV, we can say, hey, we only want people from UNLV to access it. And you can copy the link. For me, as long as it's set to UNLV and I can access it, or you upload the notebook, I'm happy. A lot of times I also ask for a screenshot for homework, so that's fine too. What else? So that's the gist in there. edit. I don't think really copy paste, blah, blah. There's a new slideshow feature I haven't really used. Let's see. Okay, so now we can run a notebook. That's this right here. Look, my code's running right now. Give it a second. Okay, so that ran and it will tell me output it. It's taking a while. Maybe it's because I'm recording video. Boom, that works. So now I'm actually running code. Now, if I need to go back and make changes, let's say we do something where it doesn't work, import MIS 769 class test, which doesn't exist, it will give me an error. Hey, look, it gave me an error. Can't find this. So you can explain error, which will load Gemini, and we'll say, hey, that module doesn't exist. Do you want me to help you fix it? Okay, you can see it's working right now. We can close that out, and then I'm just going to delete that. Okay, so this should be back to working. Something act up. It's like a new keyboard. So if that happens, you can always just reload the notebook, which is what I'm going to do. That's one of the nice things about notebooks. Here is upload. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. I think probably my keyboard there. So I'm just going to run this. So now, if I have some code that is stuck or broken, can you make a cell that counts and prints from 1 to 100 in 1 second? No, 1 second. Okay, time. Give a second to finish that up. Come on. I'm going to start running this. Um, 1 second between counts. Okay, so now I don't want to sit here and wait 100 seconds, a minute and a half. So what do? There's two things. You can go here and interrupt it. Or sometimes that might or might not work because if it's running in the back end and the notebook's unresponsive, you go interrupt execution. So sometimes we have very large things. Maybe we're processing a large data set and we want to cancel it. You can just go interrupt execution. If that happens, a lot of times you can restart the session, and run all. What that does basically is stops the computer that Google gave you, turns it off, turns it back on, or basically go to another computer, and boom, you can run all your code again. So I have a completely brand new computer. So if I'm having problems, if I crash something out, I know where I can. I know I can restart. So that's right in here. I think one of these will display your credits somewhere. Yeah, okay. So right now I'm using 2.16 credits per hour, I guess. You can close out my other sessions. Great. Tools, there's some settings. I normally have these cute little animals on just because you get bored easy. But that's basically Google Notebooks. You can share. Like I said, as long as it's set to share with UNLV, I should be able to see it. Copy link, and then you can paste that and the homework. You can download it. Yeah, and like I said, to take a screenshot on a Mac, it's one way. On a PC, you have to use the snippet tool. So that's the basics. There's a terminal, which is really nice. I don't know if on the non-pro account, I have the student account or the teacher account. I don't know if you can actually use the terminal on all things, but having access to the terminal on the top is nice. You can see what data you have. You can hit install. So the terminal is nice. You don't have it on all notebooks. Just give you a heads up on that. What else? Oh, also Google has a list of cool notebooks. Google Colab sample notebooks right here. Curated notebooks. Okay, so super fun. Okay, so let's make it so bigger. So if we look at this, create a marketing campaign, create audio, compare Gemini and ChatGPT responses. So let's see what we have here. So here it is, some type of exploratory data analysis. Okay. So I'm using somebody else's notebook, and it basically tells me, do this and I'll run anyways. But that's what's really nice. Like I said, you can use other people's notebooks. You can look at these notebooks. So there's a lot of visualize chemical structures in a notebook. Intro to Python, easy. So like I said, science. Alpha Tensor, Google Earth API. So like I said, Google Colabs is actually a relatively nice product, and it's free. I mean, sometimes I pay for it on my personal account. I haven't paid for it for about a year, but it is really fun. So I recommend playing with it, maybe watching a YouTube video on how to use it if you have any questions. But that's the basics of Google Notebooks, Google Colab. Sorry.